Ito Albert, para tulungan tayo sa ating talakayan ngayong umaga, mayroon po tayo makakasama. Isa pong political analyst, si Professor Froilan Calilong. Magandang umaga, Sir Froilan.
Yes. Good morning po at good morning din po sa lahat ng ating mga subaybay. Thank you for having me again.
Sir Froilan, ang aming pong pinag-uusapan ngayon, ito nga pong inihaying impeachment complaint laban po kay Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at syempre yung kay Vice President Sara Duterte din po. Ano pong impression ninyo? Doon po muna tayo sa impeachment complaint kay Pangulong Marcos. Ano pong impression ninyo sa manner of discussion ng mga mambabatas para po sa sufficiency in form ng dalawang impeachment complaints laban po kay PBBM?
So basically kasi the Constitution is very clear on this. Any impeachment complaint should be sufficient in form and in substance. Yung kasing tinatalakay kahapon is just sufficiency in form. The substantial part will have to be seen, and yung kasing substance kasi rito doon natin makikita kung ano ba talaga yung nilalaman ng mismo mga impeachment complaints. Pero I think I think the Congress will be able to deliberate on that naman quite well. What is important here is the overall general demeanor, especially the public perception on what's really happening right now. To me, it's not just political noise, but it's really more of a political turmoil kapag nangyari na yung dalawa sa ating pinakamatataas na opisyal parehong maharap sa isang impeachment complaint. And I think this does not really bode well, especially within the context of public service delivery, governance, as well as the economic imperatives ng ating bansa, because the impression especially na binibigay nito lalo na sa international community is that we're not okay. I mean, the political environment is very sabihin na natin dissatisfying at this point in time, di ba?
Yes.
Yun nga, Darlene, kasi kahapon, Prof, may mga na-cite na highly technical objections yung ilang mga mambabatas nga patungkol dito sa dalawang reklamo. Isa doon yung, yung mga objections, manifestation in Nisay na properly filed at verified. Authenticity ng complainant signature, criminal procedure ang reklamo sa pagsasabing hindi notarized ang verification, at dapat taxpayers ang complainant. And yet, nanaig pa rin yung sufficiency in form na reklamo. So ano pong take nyo dito, Prof?
Well, that's really the problem, especially when the rules are clear and yet we do not follow it. Doon tayo talaga nagkakaroon ng problema, because ang maaari kasi rito mangyari later on is that even if the Congress agreed that there is sufficiency in form, but later on, for example, if this case will proceed at baka pagdating doon sa Senado, halimbawa kung makakarating man to ron, saka natin questionin itong mga aspeto na to, doon tayo magkakaproblema. I remember this is the same case of what happened doon kay VP Sara Duterte last year, in the 19th Congress when it was filed. Tapos pagdating doon sa Congress, there was seemingly a problem regarding the procedure. So, maaring maulit, maaring maging problema to later on.
Kaya nga. Tsaka sayang kasi may mga budget dyan na, di ba? Sa mga
hearings. Diba? Yes.
Sayang yung time.
Ngayon, Prof. Froilan, pag-uusapan naman kung papasaba kung sufficient in substance ito pong impeachment complaint laban po kay PBBM. Ano po ba yung pagkakaiba nitong sufficient in form and sufficient in substance, at possible ba na mabasura pa rin itong impeachment complaint kung halimbawa hindi makitaan ng sufficient in substance pero pumaano siya, nakapasa siya ng pero sufficient in form siya, Prof. Froilan?
Ayan.
Yes, magkaiba po kasi pag sanabi natin kasing sufficiency in form, ibig sabihin yung mga procedural requirement na meet niya, yung mga standards na set when it comes to the creation of the complaint itself hanggang doon sa pagpapasa sa kanya, na-satisfy, kumbaga. Mangyayari kasi rito, pag sinabi naman natin kasing sufficiency in substance, we're talking about yung meat of the allegations. We need to understand kung ano ba talaga yung essence ng mga complaints na pinafile sa laban sa kanya. Meron ba itong mga preliminary evidences that will back up their claims? Kasi kailangan po yun para masabi natin na meron talagang kahit paano solido na patayan yung ating pagpapile ng impeachment.
So possible, Prof, kapag hindi sufficient in substance pero sufficient in form, possible na mabasura itong impeachment complaint na ito.
Yes, primarily, no. Kaya kung titignan natin, of all the three impeachment complaints, no, supposedly, ang nakikita ko itong pinaka-sufficient in substance is the one that was not accepted. Yung ipa-file supposedly nila former Congressman Mike Defensor at Ferdinand Pasio. I believe yun yung medyo mas merong bentahe kung sufficiency in substance ang titignan natin. Ano? Kasi between the two, madaling masatisfy ang sufficiency in form pero yung substance kasi yun yung medyo challenging kasi remember you are trying to allege and you're trying to remove an impeachable officer, so you cannot just simply come up with any other kind of allegations. They must be substantiated with preliminary proofs and somewhat it should be strengthened or concretized kung meron ka man talagang mailalatag na mga kahit paano mga preliminary evidences, circumstantial evidences para masasabi natin meron talagang batayan, meron talagang basihan, so let's approve it. Kung wala, talagang mangyayari niyan, ibabasura po talaga yan ng Congress Justice Committee.
Ito naman, Prof. Roylan, sa issue naman po ng impeachment complaint laban kay BP Sara, crucial yung calendar days at working days kasunod po ng SC decision kamakailan. Kung January 28, 2026, reso kasi ng SC, sinasabing na ihain po ang reklamo ng December 2, 2024 dahil po sa inaction ng House. Kaya deem-initiated ito nang maglapse o lumagpas ng 10 session days noong January 14, 2025. Kaya naglapse na ang 1-year prohibition period. Ano po ba yung difference ng calendar sa working days? Lalo sinabi po ni House Justice Panel Vice Chairperson Bel Zamora na mistulang clincher po yung pagbabago ng SC sa interpretasyon ng session days ng kapulungan.
Yun, basically kapag sinabi po kasing calendar days, ito talaga yung nasa normal na kalendaryo natin. Ano? Pero kasi pag sinabing working days, ideally papasok talaga sa dun sa session at meron talagang kumbaga parang merong call to business for that particular day. There should be a call to order para talagang magkakaroon talaga tayo ng regular na session technically. So the difference is that syempre sa Congress kasi halimbawa ang ating sessions ngayon will only fall on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. No? So technically, Thursday and Friday, wala pong tayong session. Although, this could still be considered a part of a calendar day. No? So, I think this, this issues, itong mga usapin patungkol dito sa time frame is something na kinakailangan talagang resolbahin. Primarily because when we talk about impeachment, timing is really of the essence. No? Una-una, hindi po madali na proseso. Marami pong mga kinakailangang isaalang-alang dito, particularly po yung mga yung mga kinakailangang gawin ng ating mga mambabatas. Remember, hindi lang naman po impeachment ang trabaho nila. Although ngayon parang lumalabas po na ang pinakasentro ng kanilang gagawin in the coming months will be focused on the impeachment. And I think yun, kinakailangan talaga natin ma-resolve ito ng maayos.
Ayan, Prof, if I'm not mistaken, parang ito first time na nangyari sa kasaysayan ng bansa, dalawang matataas na mismo na opisyal, Presidente, Vice President, na impeachable officers naman talaga. Pero tama po ba, Prof, na magamba ang mga Pilipino at ano ang nakikita niyong implications ito sa bansa, lalo't papalapit na naman yung national election?
Well, we need to understand po na kaya naman tayo nagkakaroon ng mga impeachment proceedings ngayon. It's primarily because of the elections. Remember, on the part of the administration, the only way by which they could possibly block an eventual candidacy of Vice President Sara Duterte is by an impeachment. And then doon naman sa mga kaalyado naman ng ating ikalawang Pangulo o doon sa mga bloke na nagsusulong sa impeachment ng ating Pangulo, it's primarily because of accountability and the lack of justice, yung kawalan dito ng decisive action ng Pangulo regarding issues concerning corruption. Meron din naman tong implication going into the elections because you see, if an official is being impeached, no, hindi naman necessarily kailangan siya talagang matanggal or ma-impeach. The mere fact na nasampahan ka ng impeachment, ibig sabihin meron kang kinakaharap na allegation, meron kang kinakaharap na kaso, and then definitely nagpapahina ito sa kanilang political capital respectively. On the part of the president right now, he is already entering the lame duck phase of his presidency. Tapos may impeachment complaint pa. So ang mangyayari rito is that probably whoever he will be endorsing in 2028 will definitely be suffering the blows of these things na nangyayari sa kanya ngayon. And kung magkakaroon man sila ng coalition with other political forces, maaaring maapektuhan din ito yung kanilang electoral bid come 2028. So meron talaga itong implication kung sa political landscape natin, whether we like it or
not. Tama bang sabihin, Prof, na yung dapat makamba yung mga potential na i-endorso, di ba?
Yes. Actually, kung maalala natin, this will be reminiscent doon sa 2010 elections, no? Kung saan yung inendorso ni President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, sinasabi natin that was a kiss of death, no? Kasi talagang mahirap ipanalo, especially if the president is very unpopular, yung mag-endorso sa'yo, no? And nakikita naman natin ngayon yung unpopularity ng ating Pangulo doon sa mga numero na nare-registro niya over the past several months. These are very, very alarming if you are with the government. Talaga nakakabahala yung mga pagpagsak ng kanilang numero.
Kasama pa dyan, Prof, yung trust rating, humaba din.
May epekto yan.
Yes. Sa aspect naman ng ekonomiya, Prof. Roylan, may dapat ba tayong ikapangamba dyan? Kasi ang sabi po si Pangulong Marcos nangangamba, hindi para sa kanyang sarili, kundi para sa magiging epekto daw po na impeachment complaint laban sa kanya in general, lalo na po sa ekonomiya ng bansa.
Well, I think the important thing that here that he should consider, no, and that he should have taken into cognizance is the fact na kahit may impeachment naman tayo na kinakaharap, kung maayos at solido yung ating economic imperatives at maganda yung ating economic standing, hindi naman tayo talaga masyadong magiging apektado nito. No? Ang problema kasi, ang nangyayari sa atin, bago pa siya sampahan ng impeachment, the economy is really not doing good.
Hindi pwedeng
there is an economic free fall, there is capital flight, investor confidence is really missing, ang taas ng ating peso-dollar exchange rate, inflation is very high. So in short, hindi talaga natugunan itong mga economic issues na to, no, to begin with. So hindi natin po pwedeng isisi sa pagpa-file ng impeachment yung pagtamlay ng ating ekonomiya, because before the impeachment was filed, the economy is already not doing well, no? So again, this is a clear case of lack of foresight and lack of governance initiative on the part of the president. Kasi nga, this administration medyo nilubog niya yung sarili niya sa political noise. So instead of focusing on governance and public service delivery, medyo nalihis talaga siya, napunta talaga tayo dito sa puro politika. And that's really the problem. When you have a lot of politics and less of governance, the economy will definitely suffer. So I think what is important here is for the president to, bring back his bearings, kumbaga, and try to see what can still be done. Although medyo challenging yun para sa kanya kasi nga papunta na siya sa lame duck phase ng kanyang presidency, and all eyes and ears will be going and headed already for the 2028 election. So that becomes a very challenging thing for the president at this moment.
Maraming salamat, Prof. Roylan, sa pagsama po sa amin ngayong umaga. Pero bago ko po siguro kayo bitawan, panghuling katanungan ko na lang, dito po sa issue ng impeachment complaint laban po sa Pangulo at pangalawang Pangulo, ano po ba ang maibibigay ninyong mensahe po sa publiko?
Well, of course, number one is vigilance. We need to be really involved here as a people, because this will definitely have a bearing on our trajectory as a country, both politically and economically. Kailangan mas maging mapanuri talaga tayo kung ano ba talaga yung totoo at ano ba talaga yung tama. Wag tayo magpapadala sa kung ano mga nababasa natin sa social media. We need to be very discerning, because that's going to be the basis of the formation of a very good, well-informed public opinion, which is very, very essential at this trying times of our country's political history. So yun lamang po at this point in time, siguro tignan natin kung ano yung magiging susunod na mga pangyayari. Very very exciting actually, but at the same time alarming itong mga nangyayari sa ating bansa ngayon.
Opo, alam namin na mayroon din po kayong mga interviews pa dahil talagang sobrang linaw po ninyo magpaliwanag, Prof. And sa kanan po ng DWWW 774, maraming thank you po sa inyong oras at naway hindi ho kayo magsawa na sumagot
Hindi po,
lagi
hindi
sa
po.
aming interview request.
Anytime po. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po kayo.
God bless, Prof. Froilan Calilong, political analyst.
Yun, diba,
Para
Albert?
tayo nasa eskwelahan, no? Pagka ganun yung prof mo, mapapaano ka
Talagang
talaga
mapapatake down
Oo.
notes at makikinig
Correct.
ka talaga sa kanyang
Convincing.
discussion.
Talaga namang totoo ang sinabi niya. Talaga
Oo.
malinaw and balanse.
Oo nga, no? Big naisip
Yeah.
ko din na, oo nga, yung mga i-endorso
Yes,
ni Pangulong
oo.
Marcos, possible maapektuhan nitong kanyang kinakaharap na impeachment complaint. Yun nga
Oo.
lang na, yung huling election, yung
Yes.
senatorial election, Albert, no, na hindi, wala pa siyang impeachment
Oo.
complaint niyan, di ba?
Diba? Parang
Nakita
may
na natin na...
Nakita mo sa numbers
Oo.
din. Kahit before pa mag-election, yung mga ratings ay
nagda-drop na. Oo, kaya nako, abangan natin ang mga susunod na kabanata. At ang inaabangan ko din, sino ang i-endorso ni Pangulong Marcos no para sa 2028 election.
Yung 2 taon, medyo maikli na yan para malaman natin kung sino yung mga potential.
Oo.
Hanggang ngayon, parang
pero
wala pa.
Wala pa, di ba?
May mga nagpapakilala.
Yung mga nakaraan, parang medyo may mga yung mga nakarang
May maingay
administrasyon,
na. Oo.
ganitong panahon na 2 years na
Umuugong-ugong.
lang bago ang may mga umuugong na possible ito yung i-endorso.
Oo.
Pero ngayon parang walang malinaw, Albert,
Oo.
na wala tayong nakikita na po pwedeng i-endorso
ipag-pray
ng
natin,
Pangulo.
mga kanyosik, na sana yung susunod na mamumuno ay talaga namang hindi
Deserving.
politiko,
Oo.
kundi public servant.
Correct.